Order.
The ayes to the right, 318. The noes to the left, 255.
The ayes to the right were 318. The noes to the left, 255. So the ayes have it. Unlock. Lords Amendment 9. Minister to move the motion to disagree.
I beg to move.
The question is that this House disagrees with the Lords in their Amendment 9. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
No!
Division. Clear the lobbies. The question is that this House disagrees with the Lords in their Amendment 9. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
No!
Tellers for the ayes, Joy Morrissey and Mark Jenkinson. Tellers for the noes, Mary Glendon and Kim Leadbeater. Order.
The ayes to the right were 320. The noes to the left were 251.
The ayes to the right were 320. The noes to the left were 251. So the ayes have it. Unlock. We now come to Lord's Amendment 10. Minister to move the motion to disagree formally.
I beg to move.
The question is that this House disagrees with the Lords in their Amendment 10. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
No!
Division. Clear the lobbies. The question is that this House disagrees with the Lords in their Amendment 10. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
No!
Tell us for the ayes, Joy Morrissey and Mark Jenkinson. Tell us for the noes, Mary Glindon and Kim Leadbeater. Order, order.
The ayes to the right, 312. The noes to the left, 255.
The ayes to the right, 312. The noes to the left, 255. So the ayes have it. Unlock. Minister to move that a committee be appointed to draw up reasons.
I beg to move that a committee be appointed to draw up reasons to be assigned to the Lords for disagreeing to their amendments. That Michael Tomlinson, Scott Mann, Kieran Mullen, Anna Firth, Stephen Kinnock, Colleen Fletcher and Alison Thulis be members of the committee. That Michael Tomlinson be the chair of the committee. That 3 be the quorum of the committee. That the committee do withdraw immediately.
The question is that a committee be appointed to draw up reasons to be assigned to the Lords for disagreeing to their amendments 1 to 10. That Michael Tomlinson, Scott Mann, Kieran Mullen, Anna Firth, Stephen Kinnock, Colleen Fletcher, Alison Thulis be members of the committee. That Michael Tomlinson be the chair of the committee. That 3 be the quorum of the committee. That the committee do withdraw immediately. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. That concludes consideration of Lord's amendments to the Safety of Rwanda Asylum and Immigration Bill. Point of order, Mr. Clive Lewis.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to put on record, if I could, my apologies to to members and members of staff for an earlier outburst that I had. If I could very quickly explain, I received a message which caused me some consternation and surprise, to which I made an outburst in general at no one specifically. If I could do it again, I probably would have said something like "my giddy aunt" rather than what did come out of my mouth, and for that I apologise. But just to clear the air and put on record the fact that it was directed at no one in particular. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I appreciate the honourable gentleman's candour in identifying himself and the fullness of the nature of his apology, which is accepted. Before I come to motions 4 to 13 on the order paper, I should draw the attention of the House to an error under item 11 in the printed version of the order paper. This has been corrected online. The version of the Draft Economic Crime and the Corporate Transparency Act 2023 Consequential Supplementary and Incidental Provisions Regulations 2024, which is before us today and which was considered by the Delegated Legislation Committee, is the draft laid on the 1st of February 2024 and not the draft laid on the 10th of January 2024, which has been withdrawn and replaced. Motion number 4, local government. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Motion number 5, education. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 6, pensions. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Ayes have it. Question number 6? 7. Electricity. Yeah. Question number 7, electricity. Motion number 7, Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 8, electricity. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 9, electricity. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 10, electricity. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 11, companies. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
Question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 12, companies. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question number 13, sanctions. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. We now come to motion number 14 relating to the Committee of Public Accounts.
I'm here.
Sir,
Mr. Deputy.
Sir Bill Wigan.
Thank you. I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Petition. Cat Smith.
I rise to present a petition on behalf of my constituents who are shocked and upset by the scandal that is the infected blood situation. And my constituents recognise that justice delayed is justice denied, and for that reason the petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urges the government to implement the recommendations of the second interim report of the infected blood inquiry without delay, and the petitioners remain, etc.
Here, here, here. Here, here.
Petition recommendations of the infected blood inquiry.
I beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. James Sunderland.
Mr Deputy Speaker, it's a huge privilege to lead tonight's adjournment debate on the cadet expansion programme, and I'm grateful to the Minister for responding. Almost exactly 40 years ago, it was 40 years, when I was a young Army cadet in Guildford, the combined cadet force at my school deployed to Oakhampton for its Easter camp. During that week, cadets participated in a night navigation exercise across the notorious Dartmoor. Given the cold weather and awful terrain, this would have been a challenge at any time, but we had barely left Oakhampton when thick fog engulfed us, to the point when you cannot even see your hand in front of your face. Sensing the danger, the three of us in my group used all of the training we'd been given to not just get off the moor, but to complete the exercise together. The young cadets alongside me were Hamish Walker and Graham Atkinson, and I will never forget the experience. Anybody who is familiar with military service will know that heightened sense of vigilance, tension and excitement when travelling cross-country at night. Totally confident in what the map and compass were telling us and meticulously counting our paces, we worked together to double-check our navigation and agree every decision we made. And this was long before sat-nav. Utterly blind due to the fog, but trusting our instincts, training and the compass needle, it was that potent combination of teamwork, resilience, informed judgment and competitive spirit that you get with military service that saw us succeed against the odds, even as 13-year-old kids. But this was typical of what cadets still do, whether abseiling down dams, building shelters, learning to ski or shoot, escaping from a capsized canoe, preparing an ambush or cooking in the field. The skills that I acquired as an Army cadet for 5 years at school and then for a further 3 years at the University Officer Training Corps were pivotal to everything that I am today. And whilst the cadet movement does not exist to recruit people for a military career, it was so formative for me that they gave me the skills to thrive at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, which I now represent as a local MP, and throughout a 27-year military career. And my response to almost everything that has been asked of me since leaving the cadets probably has its foundation in my time with the cadets. So it has made a huge difference to me personally. But what of the cadet forces themselves? The MOD sponsors 5 different types of cadet forces: the Sea Cadet Corps, the Volunteer Cadet Corps, the Army Cadet Force and Air Training Corps. These are single service in nature and not tied to schools. But the 5th, the Combined Cadet Force, offers more tri-service balance and is hosted within schools with adult volunteers often coming from the teaching staff. All of these units are voluntary organisations which offer challenging and enjoyable activities for young people and prepare them to play an active role in their community while developing life skills. Whilst they do model their traditions and ethos on their parent service, they are not actually part of HM forces and do not have any formal military role. The Sea Cadets consist of over 14,000 young people and 5,000 adult volunteers in 400 units across towns, cities and ports, undertaking activities such as sailing, boating and coastal navigation. The Volunteer Cadet Corps offers something very similar, but is more tightly connected to naval families and consists of around 460 cadets and 150 volunteers located in 8 naval bases across southern England and Scotland. The Army Cadet Force has over 37,000 cadets and 9,000 adult volunteers and celebrated its 150th anniversary in 2010. And the fourth of the non-school units is the Air Training Corps, which consists of over 44,000 cadets and volunteer staff in over 900 squadrons across the UK, encouraging participants to take an active interest in aviation and the Royal Air Force. Please do.
Mr Deputy Speaker, can I commend the Honourable Gentleman for Bracknell for bringing this forward? We spoke beforehand. The Schools Cadet Expansion Programme in Northern Ireland has gone from success to success with the latest school, Kilkeel High School, in the neighbouring constituency of my Strangford constituency, becoming the newest cadet force. This week, 139 pupils from schools across Northern Ireland entered the Cyber Skills Challenge company petition this year also, which is fantastic. So does the Honourable Gentleman agree that Northern Ireland very much is setting the targets for other cadet forces across the United Kingdom to try and match up to? And does he welcome the fact that it seems now there are almost as many people from a Roman Catholic persuasion are joining the cadet forces in Northern Ireland as there are Protestants?
Can I thank the Member for his intervention? And I completely agree. I think what's happening in Northern Ireland is a complete exemplar for the cadet movement, and the fact we've got a balance between Catholic and Protestant children in these units is quite something. It's about cohesion, it's about community, and I really commend what's happening over there. Indeed, as for the Combined Cadet Force, units exist in over 260 schools across the UK. Traditionally, they are the preserve of independent schools, with over 200 of them hosting detachments, but there are now at least 60 units in state schools too. They offer young students a broad range of exciting, adventurous and educational activities that complement the normal school curriculum during the evening, at weekends and during the holidays. Like the other cadet units, they help to develop personal responsibility, leadership, teamwork and self-discipline, and in my view, it is no coincidence that many young cadets do emerge to be highly successful in their chosen career fields. In Berkshire, I am proud that we have a strong pedigree in terms of military presence. I could again mention the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, Headquarters 77 Brigade at Hermitage, the Household Cavalry Regiment and 1st Battalion of the Coldstream Guards in Windsor, 7 Rifles in Reading, and so much more. But what I really want to highlight is the Royal County of Berkshire Army Cadet Force. This currently supports over 600 cadets and 120 adult volunteers in 18 detachments, many of whom I see on Remembrance Sunday and at special events alongside the Lord Lieutenant. And I want to give a big shout to the 7th Platoon in Bracknell, which does so much locally, trains and plays hard in equal measure, and which always looks so smart when I see them. Whilst we do not have a Sea Cadets unit in my constituency, Bracknell is also home to 2211 Squadron of the Air Training Corps. Having met several of the cadets recently, it never ceases to amaze me just how much is on offer. It is possible for cadets to go flying and to set themselves up to gain pilot licences. So, to anybody watching this from Bracknell Forest, please do consider joining the Army Cadet Force or the Air Training Corps locally. It is a real opportunity. As for the CCF, the Combined Cadet Force, there are 2 detachments located in my constituency. Wellington College has an established military presence and a proud history of service. Whilst I have not yet been invited to visit, I know by reputation that it is a good one. And at Brackenhouse School in Bracknell, I've watched with wonder how this fledgling detachment has evolved under the superb leadership and vision of Second Lieutenant Berry and Second Lieutenant Gildersleeve. Getting it off the ground with virtually nothing is quite an achievement, and it serves as an exemplar for the Cadet Expansion Programme, with over 100 of its pupils in Bracknell now being given the opportunity to wear uniform, train with the British Army, conduct adventure training and learn life skills that they may not otherwise have. I cannot commend Brackenhouse School enough for everything it's doing. I'm looking forward to the annual inspection later this year. So what of the Cadet Expansion Programme itself? Well, this was first launched on Armed Forces Day in June 2012 by Prime Minister David Cameron, with the aim to deliver 100 new cadet units in English state-funded schools by September 2015. This target was reached 6 months early in March 2015, and following the achievement, the government committed an extra £50 million from LIBOR fines to further increase the number of cadet units in schools across the UK, bringing the total number to 500 by 2020. Phase 3 is now underway, and the Minister is sure to provide a progress report later. The Cadet Expansion Programme is part of the government's aim of promoting military ethos in schools. This is to instil values in young people that will help them to get the most out of their lives, contribute to their communities, and foster those essential qualities of resilience, independence and teamwork that will assist their chosen career paths. Mirroring what has already been achieved in the private sector, state schools that have set up cadet units are offering significant benefits for their young people, their own schools and the local community. Head teachers report that they have seen significant improvement in attendance and behaviour, attainment, commitment, self-confidence and discipline, and that relationships between staff and students have improved. The sense of pride that some students feel is also palpable. And given that this government is a champion of aspiration, opportunity and enterprise, I want to see the programme develop further and faster so that all pupils, irrespective of their background, can have better access to these superb opportunities. Before I close, I just want to highlight a number of areas where I feel that we can do better. First and foremost, it would be massively positive for all of our adult volunteers to be given a financial incentive for their time. Not only would this be recruitment and retention positive, it would send a clear signal that the MOD is taking the broader benefits more seriously. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of the cadet movement, and it would be remiss of me not to formally thank and pay tribute to the huge contribution that is being made by everyone who runs our detachments. We should also invest more in our cadet infrastructure by repairing some of our older halls, building new ones, and providing better training facilities such as ranges and accommodation. It goes without saying that higher operating costs should be mitigated too, that more transport should be made available, that more opportunities are provided to train alongside our regular forces, and that better adventure training and more updated equipment can be delivered. Whilst it is a considerable outlay for the MOD to provide uniforms, weapons and other personal kit, it should be possible for serviceable ex-military equipment that would otherwise be disposed of to be provided to cadet units. And closer tie-ups with regular and reserve units through the affiliation process should help to ensure that greater localised support is available for those detachments that do need it. Lastly, as someone who got so much out of the Combined Cadet Force and Officer Training Corps, I was always hugely privileged to visit and to inspect local cadet units in Berkshire, Surrey and Hampshire, particularly when serving as a commanding officer in Aldershot and at Sandhurst. Our cadets are our future. Whether they choose to join HM forces or not, their service in uniform will leave a lasting legacy throughout their lifetime, and their personal skills will be called upon as they have for me. I also wish to thank the many organisations who continue to enable the cadet movement, not least our single service branches, such as the Cadets Branch at Headquarters Regional Command in Aldershot, which forms part of Home Command, the National Cadet Training Centre at Frimley Green, which does so much to train our adult volunteers, and our Reserve Forces and Cadet Associations, or RFCAs, which support our cadet forces so well behind the scenes. Indeed, I'm now wearing the distinctive tie of the South East RFCA, which I've worked alongside for many years. Please do keep up the great work. I will conclude, if I may, by paying tribute to the other youth movements across the UK, which do so much to promote the essential values that we have commended this evening. These are far too numerous to list, and I hope that can be forgiven, but we also have the Police Cadets, St John Ambulance Cadets, the Scout and Guide Movement, Venture Scouts, Youth Sports Clubs, Young Crusader, religious groups, breakfast and after-school clubs, environmental networks, online networks, voluntary organisations, and at least 8,000 more established groups that can easily be found with a quick search online. Mr. Speaker, I'm often told by parents and teachers in my constituency that there is nothing for young people to do locally, that the government is not doing enough, that this is a key reason for antisocial behaviour, and that many are bored. My answer is usually the same. Really? But whilst there is always more that we can and must do locally and nationally, we should also be proud of what we have, not least within our cadet forces. Extending these opportunities more broadly across our society is a complete no-brainer for so many reasons, and I do hope that the Minister will not disappoint us. Thank you.
Armed Forces Minister, Dr. Andrew Meares.
Well, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and what pleasure it is to be able to respond to my honourable and gallant friend's important contribution this evening. I hope we're going to be able to reflect on what is a huge success in our country this evening. It's a wonderful thing for our communities to have cadets. I've seen them in my own constituency, and they are an important part of the local fabric, supporting occasions from Remembrance Sunday to Armed Forces Day and beyond. And we're very lucky to have them indeed, and particularly in opening my remarks, I'd like to pay tribute to the volunteers who make it possible. So many of our institutions, I'm afraid, have suffered as a result of the pandemic, and it's been extremely difficult for them to get going again. And yet they seem to have bounced back. They seem to be flourishing. And the reason for that is there are people who are prepared to give up their own time and shoulder a fair amount of inconvenience in order to serve their communities in this way, and we all owe them a great deal. The benefits of our cadet programmes offered to young people and society as a whole, I think, are well known and well rehearsed. And I agree wholeheartedly that the MOD-sponsored cadet forces provide brilliant opportunities for our young people. They have also been catalogued by academics from the University of Northampton, to whom I'm grateful for their rigorous appraisal, which gives sort of scientific objectivity to what I think we all understand instinctively to be the case, and that is to say that cadets are a force for good. Participation in cadets has been shown to build character, self-discipline, self-reliance. It improves teamworking, problem-solving, leadership and social skills. And it provides a boost for physical and mental health, benefits that I am sure my honourable friend will know from his time as a cadet, which he described so well. I have to say my time wasn't quite as happy as his. I remember joining the Air Cadets briefly. I was told I was going to fly aircraft. After about 2 months it dawned on me that wasn't going to happen, and it was going to be marching up and down for as long as I could put up with it, which wasn't very long. So I have to say I parted company from cadets much sooner than my honourable friend did, but there it is. I'm sure it benefited me at some level. Now, head teachers of schools that have established cadet units report that their cadets have improved attendance and academic attainment, as well as behaviour and self-confidence. And some head teachers are using cadets as a central part of their strategy to reduce exclusions. Cadet programmes are also a gateway to new skills, new qualifications and even employment. It is also a valuable opportunity to make young people aware of the further opportunities available in defence and defence-related industries, although, to be clear, as my honourable friend certainly was, cadet forces are not meant to be recruiting tools, but as our military footprint shrinks as it has done, cadets have assumed an even more important role in at least giving some sort of presence in many communities where otherwise there would be none. Cadets benefit the whole of society by building links between different communities, boosting social mobility and strengthening young people's resilience to becoming involved in antisocial behaviour, criminality and even extremism. In short, joining cadets is a springboard to success. It is also a powerful engine of social mobility and levelling up. The Cadet Expansion Programme is a joint Ministry of Defence and Department for Education initiative to expand cadet participation in schools. It has been a fantastic success since it was launched by the then Prime Minister 12 years ago. By March 2015, ahead of schedule, the government reached its target of establishing 100 new combined cadet force units in state secondary schools in England. Then in November 2019, again ahead of schedule, we reached our further target of establishing 500 new cadet units across the United Kingdom. Funded with 50 million from LIBOR fines, it benefits many schools in less affluent areas. To provide renewed impetus to the programme, the government had also by this time outlined a further aspiration to increase the number of cadets in school units to 60,000 by April 2024. But cadet units require a significant amount of personal commitment from school leaders and volunteers, and in spite of successes, around 50 of the units established since 2012 have failed, often as a result of changes to a school's leadership or priorities. Now, that's a pity, but it in no way detracts from the leadership and drive of senior leadership teams that have advanced the cadet programme, to whom I pay tribute. And as we approach April 2024, although cadet numbers in schools have increased 15% since April 2020 to more than 54,000, COVID has had an impact here, as in so much of our national life. It is clear that we will not reach our 60,000 aspiration in the challenging timeframe we had set. And it is not only the direct impact of the pandemic that has slowed progress. In addition to cadet activities being halted or limited by COVID restrictions, participation has also been affected by the resulting change in school priorities, with many reorienting away from extracurricular activities to prioritising catching up on lost learning, which is perfectly to be understood. Given this context, the fact that we have already achieved 90% of our ambition to have 60,000 cadets in schools is a great credit to every individual and school involved in our cadet expansion programme. We have also made progress on a number of other fronts to provide the greatest level of support to school cadet units that we can. In the last year, we have developed a combined cadet force engagement and communication framework. We have worked with the single service cadet forces to improve the delivery model, and we have extended funding for regional schools cadet expansion officers. A report by academics at the University of Northampton has found that more than 91% of head teachers surveyed considered their cadet units to be a good investment for their school, and a whopping 98.9% of head teachers reported an improvement in the resilience of participants. With most recent estimates calculating the cost of participation at £836 per cadet, I call that a fantastic value for money investment in their future, in our future, and for the future of the country. But you don't have to take my word for it. The academics who conducted the study concluded that school-based cadet units are delivering excellent value for money, as well they should, since the IPPR estimates that the cost of just one school exclusion is £392,000. I will.
Minister, one of the things that certainly impresses me amongst the cadet force in my constituency, whether it be the Army, the Sea Cadets or the Air Force cadets, is the number of young girls equal the number of young boys in the cadets. I think it's really encouraging to see that. I know it's something that the Minister, yourself Minister, would like to see as well. Is that something that government and yourself as a Minister is trying to promote?
Well, I absolutely do, and as the proud owner of 5 daughters, each one of which were involved at some level in cadets, I can certainly endorse the Honourable Gentleman's remarks, and I'm impressed all the time by the number of young women who are engaged and looking to the future as defence, though this is of course not a recruiting exercise, is increasingly female in its composition. That has to be a positive thing. And now I remain absolutely determined, Mr Deputy Speaker, to do all I can to ensure we continue to grow the number of cadets in our schools. And as we recover from the pandemic, we must meet our 60,000 aspiration as soon as possible, so that schools such as Brakenhale School in my honourable friend's constituency can continue to flourish. The schools programme is of course complementary to the very successful community cadet forces which my honourable friend has referred to. I pay tribute to the very active units in my own constituency and to the volunteers who sustain them. These community cadet forces are as popular as ever with our young people, and in terms of numbers have mirrored the growth of our school programme. Most recent figures show that we have more than 83,000 community cadets, which represents a 14% increase on the previous year. Of course, none of this can happen without the selfless and invaluable contribution adult volunteers make. The good news is that adult volunteers can indeed receive some remuneration for their efforts, depending on the activities they are engaged in. Historically, cadet units have had to put up with some fairly basic accommodation, and my honourable friend touched upon some of that. However, we continue to make considerable efforts in improving facilities for cadets, not least through the ongoing Reserve Estates Optimisation Programme. Mr Deputy Speaker, school cadet units have been transforming the lives of our young people for more than 160 years. Once the preserve of independent schools, 65% are now in the state sector, a reversal of the previous situation where 75% of cadet units were in independent schools. Like the rest of our modern cadet forces, they embody the ethos of the armed forces, and they are laser focused on helping young people develop and reach their full potential in whatever walk of life they choose. And whilst COVID has slowed our ambitions somewhat, thanks to our Cadet Force 2030 strategy, the government has plans in place as well as the commitment to deliver their continued growth, ensuring our cadet units in schools and communities will continue to transform the lives of more and more of our young people for many years to come.
Yeah.
The question is that this House do stand adjourned. As many of that opinion say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Order, order.
Sound.